All right, I think I'll go ahead and get us started. So I'm going to call this work session to hold a confirmation hearing to order for Heather Harris, Director of the Anchorage Health Department. Let's go ahead and start with a roll call.
Ms. Zalatel? Mr. Weddleton?
Here.
Mr. Peterson?
Present.
Mr. Perez Verdia? Ms. LaFrance?
Here.
Ms. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Dunbar?
Here.
Mr. Constant? Ms. Allard?
Here.
Ms. Quinn Davidson?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so as usual, if members would like to get in the chat or in the queue, please put yourself in the chat, or if you can't access the chat, please text me. All right, so we have an hour scheduled for this, but we certainly don't need to use that entire hour. So today is our opportunity to get to know Heather Harris and to ask her any questions before we take up her confirmation at our meeting on Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Heather to introduce herself, tell us whatever it is that we should know, and then we can go to questions from the members. So I hear that you survived your first press conference, so welcome. Heather, are you with us? All right, we'll go ahead and just give it a second and see if maybe there's some technical issues.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Oh, good. I am still waiting for my permanent computer, and this one often has challenges with the microphone, but we got it squared away. So I'm glad we can hear each other. I did survive my first press conference, and in fact, I have 2 down at this point and many more to come. So looking forward to continuing that into the future. So I'll just take it away and maybe just introduce myself a bit. Is that where we're at?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you so much to the Assembly. Just an incredible privilege to be here with you this afternoon. And I really look forward, one, thank you for getting to introduce myself, but I really look forward to getting to know each of you and to hear about your priorities for our city and for specifically for the health department. So I look forward to the continued conversation into the future. So my family came to Alaska through my great uncle Courtney, who was a volunteer firefighter off Tudor Road here in Anchorage in the 1960s. And thankful to my great uncle, I got to be born in Alaska and grow up here. I'm originally from Homer, but have spent my last several decades here in the municipality of Anchorage. And this is my home. It's where I graduated from Chugiak High School. It's where I worked 2 jobs throughout college to pay for my undergraduate degree at UAA. And after traveling and living abroad, it's where my husband Josh and I committed to laying roots when we purchased our first home. It's where Josh and I chose to become foster parents and adopt our 9-year-old daughter, Sarah. And it's where we'll raise Sarah and our 18-month-old daughter, Scout. And it's with deep gratitude to Alaska's first people that our family enjoys the bounty of this land. And it's where we enjoy the hundreds of miles of local trail system to hike and mountain bike and snowboard in the mountains outside of our back door. And if Josh is successful this week, we'll also enjoy the gift of a freezer full of game meat and fish. And this home in Anchorage in Alaska also comes with responsibility. And responsibility, the responsibility to strengthen our community, responsibility to fight for what's right, which at times for my family has involved wings and tutus. That sense of responsibility is the source of how I learned about some of the most difficult challenges in our beautiful city. In the late 90s, while volunteering on Standing Together Against Rape's 24-hour crisis line, I learned about the impact a volunteer can have in sharing in the deep pain so many of our neighbors face. Since then, I expanded my volunteering to include, but not be limited to, working with children in the NICU, serving as a Red Cross Disaster Action Team member, and as a mentor with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Alaska, to a young man that in the first 6 months we were matched, he'd experienced 4 foster homes and 2 different case managers. I expanded my civic engagement with Alaska Humanities Forum's Leadership Anchorage program, as well as attendance at the Fairview Community Council meetings. And I had the privilege of serving as a board member with Alaskan AIDS Assistance Association, Alaska Youth Development Coalition, and the Alaska Food Coalition. Furthering my education with a nonprofit management certificate with the 4-Acre Group and later Boston College's Center for Corporate Citizenship, I also obtained my executive master's in public administration with the University of Washington. I've had the opportunity to work with STAR, Standing Together Against Rape, as a direct service advocate, supporting individuals through sexual assault response team process, as well as facilitating and supporting educational groups. As a family care coordinator with our with our Child Advocacy Center at Alaska Cares, I've provided children with a safe space to tell their story and heal. As the program manager and then executive director with Alaska Youth Advocates Power Program, I worked in a peer-to-peer staffing model with at-risk and homeless youth out of the Downtown Transit Center. Through this work intersecting with adverse childhood experiences and prevention frameworks like developmental assets, I was drawn to the position to become the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Alaska, where I got to work to ensure that the organization was prepared to fulfill their mission sustainably for decades to come. While working with so many heroes that continue to do the work, I learned about the privilege it is to walk with someone through their deepest and most difficult pain. I also learned about resiliency and the power of an individual to persevere and to find happiness and peace through the challenge. Through this direct work with some of our community's most vulnerable, I also learned about the importance of systemic change and being part of a process to change structures and practices for the better. Through my work as a lead capacity builder with the 4-Acre Group, I strengthen the nonprofit sector through a comprehensive look at sustainability, including the importance of knowing who you are, where you're going, and having the right mix of partnership, right people at the right time, and unrestricted funds. I provided executive leadership support and board development, facilitated strategic planning sessions and partnership development up to merger, and walked with organizations seeking innovative solution to complex challenges. And I learned that sectors and organizations working together toward a common goal is the only way we solve these complex challenges, and that we're truly better together. That is a quick overview of my journey that has led me to the Anchorage Health Department during a critical time of challenge. And I'm a person who is drawn to the opportunity to walk through difficult times, all while seeking the lessons and ability to make a positive impact. With the challenges that we're experiencing also comes incredible opportunity. And I look forward to using this difficult time we find ourselves in to find the silver linings, to learn and explore how we can do our work better. This is a time to invest in the Anchorage Health Department, which is the foundation and a source of so much strength within our community. I don't believe in silver bullets, but doing the work to engage diverse perspectives to get to the strongest outcome. And our staff, along with our community, has and will continue to experience so much change. As I enter the Anchorage Health Department, I don't plan to make dramatic changes in our strategic directions. I plan to build upon the critical work that previous leadership has laid out before us, which includes strengthening the department, I'd like to watch us and work with the department to work towards accreditation and maintain a strong focus on the 10 essential public health services, which includes assessment, policy development, and assurances, all with equity lens at our center. And we'll build upon the strength of our leadership team and staff to ensure appropriate staffing levels, employee retention, so that we can have the healthiest and safest employees to ensure we can have the healthiest and safest state in the United States. There's incredible opportunity within COVID to increase the importance and visibility of the health department, and I plan to continue to work on in that direction, as well as look at the longstanding issues our community has wrestled with and make and look to make a lasting impact. We'll also continue to maintain this lens of equity and inclusion and look at our systems that perpetuate the institutional injustices within our community and look to fix those systems internally within our organization and within ourselves. That's my focus for the department.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Heather, for that introduction and for walking us through some of your objectives with the department. At this time, if any members have questions, please put yourself in the queue, and I'm happy to go through any questions folks have. Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Harris. I do have just a bit of probably a general question, I guess. My first question is, and maybe I just missed this or didn't catch it, but have you currently or previously had a role or a position in the Anchorage Health Department? And then my other question is, you mentioned the idea of increasing the importance of the health department, and I was kind of hoping you would expand a bit on that in terms of what your vision is for making that happen. Some specifics maybe. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So to the first question, have I had a role in the health department before? No. My work has very primarily been focused for the last couple of decades in the nonprofit sector. And so as an employee or on this side of the health department, no, not necessarily, but I've worked with the health department as a nonprofit partner for quite some time, whether that is around the sexual assault response work or emergency response. Also, while I was in the transit center working with Alaska Youth Advocates, we housed a satellite clinic for reproductive health services for teens. So a lot of opportunity for partnership and connection with the department, but not actually on this side of it. And as far as using this opportunity to highlight the importance of the health department, I think we are already seeing just in the last 6 months plus the focus and attention on what the health department does and the importance of it. I think in the past we've had the opportunity to kind of just be within the fabric of the work of what's making our community strong, but COVID has really provided a spotlight to highlight the importance of this department and how we keep people healthy. And so as I work with the staff and the team here and with the administration and the assembly, I look forward to highlighting some of the great work that's already happening within the department. But I think we also see these several initiatives and opportunities that are coming about right now to make significant change, whether that's the conversation around homelessness and how does the health department engage in that conversation and provide for a healthier community overall. And so I'll be looking to highlight some of the things that are already happening and then build upon those initiatives that are moving forward in the near future.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Ms. Harris. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. LaFrance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Ms. Harris, for being here today. My original question was largely addressed by Ms. Kennedy's question. I'd wanted to hear more about your vision for the health department, especially since we've been having so many conversations regarding homelessness and behavioral health, and how this will, very clearly require an expansion of the health department. And so a question I have, you had mentioned working toward accreditation, and I was wondering if you could just explain a little bit about what that means. And also, in light of conversation about the health department and what is the right size of the health department for our community, recognizing that the health department is that third leg in public safety, what kinds of challenges do you see ahead, or the biggest challenge, and how will you go about addressing those? Thanks.
Absolutely. So accreditation, there is an accrediting body for public health that really lines out a very clear path about how to move forward. And the department had started working on that prior to COVID and had laid some of that groundwork. I think that maybe there was an attempt at it prior to that too, but I'm still learning and getting oriented to that. But what I know right now is that we have started the process and kind of laid out how to move forward through that accreditation process. And so I think that the COVID space is such an important space to give the time and energy. We also have to continue to do the many things that are happening within the organization. And so I think as I come in, it's a good pausing spot that we've been doing this work and running pretty hard for 6 months. I think it's important to recognize that we are not in a sprint. We are absolutely in a marathon. And within that marathon, as we continue to work through COVID, we have to do these other pieces that maintain the strength of the department overall. And I think that that's really where accreditation comes in. It's a long-term process of making sure that our department structure and policies and procedures and such are all in order. And so I think that there's a space of to grow and to right size the department, because we are quite small at this point. We have to have this strong foundation of internal structure, and I really point to accreditation for that to help us through that process of just incredibly skilled people that have come before us to show us what accreditation looks like. So I think we'll, as we walk through that, we'll gain even more information about the right size that we should be, especially to take on some of these initiatives. I think that as I come into the position and we think about homelessness and the other initiatives that are happening, there is a sense that the department is quite small, and it's hard to take on big, exciting opportunities when we're kind of just we're making through where we are right now. And so I think it's important to be thoughtful about how we bring in new programs and new staff to make sure that it's a sustainable process, and that the work that we're trying to do right now will actually make a lasting impact, that it's not about these systems and structures for right now. It's about what that looks like for 5 to 10 years down the road. And so we want to do it. We want to do it well. And I think back to the question about challenges, I think one of our biggest challenges is how to use the opportunity that's happening and the pressure of the change that's possible given all of the pressure of COVID and the attention and focus on health right now. And how do we use that benefit to grow, but to grow in the right way that is within our authority, that we are going to have the staffing capacity to be able to sustain into the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions for Heather? All right, if not, then we can keep this short. I really appreciate you taking the time today, Heather, to introduce yourself, and looking forward to the confirmation hearing, the confirmation on Tuesday.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right,
you
thank you so much. So I'm
Thank
going to go
you.
ahead and close this work session, and we'll see each other again at 3:50.